Every year I watch a slasher movie, and since I'm switching formats on the channel, I figured that we would play 300 Miles to Pigsland, which is one of my favorite games, and talk about that slasher movie. This year's slasher was much like last year, a movie I only saw because I picked the wrong title. I was looking for Bloody Reunion, a Korean slasher, and this is also a Korean slasher, but I ended up with Death Bell instead. I will admit this movie was not very interesting, but to summarize, this movie is basically Kuronezumi in Korea. If you don't know what Kuronezumi is, it is a movie about a bunch of students who are summoned to a school, and they are told that they have to answer questions related to the death of one of their classmates. In the case of Death Bell, it is more that they are answering test questions, but in the other case, it is that they are answering questions related to stuff that they did, and stuff that they did wrong in terms of the person in question. And I will admit, initially, the movie was okay. I kind of liked the idea, but as the movie dragged on, I started to get very, very bored by it. Essentially, the plot of this movie is exactly that, but also there's a ghost, because there's always a ghost in these movies, and it's where the movie loses me in the end. But in terms of the actual deaths, they are okay. There's a girl who gets drowned in a tank because they have to answer a question about water. They don't answer it in time. There is a question about sentence structure, which I admit I kind of lost me because I'm not Korean and I don't know how Korean sentence structure entirely works. There is a question about putting stuff together to put through the last day of the life of the girl in question. Her friend gets killed anyway, which I found entirely pointless. My favorite death in the movie, if you're wondering, is the guy who gets candle wax dripped on him, because it was actually kind of neat and it was very, very gnarly. I think that was the one with the sentence structure. There was also a girl who got stuffed into a washing machine. But at least with this movie, unlike Kuronezumi, you actually get to see the death, so that's why I give this movie kudos, because in Kuronezumi, everything happens off screen. Like, you'll see the axe swing, but then it cuts to white, and you hear the person scream, but then you don't actually see the person die, and that really irritates me, because, like, in a slasher movie, you want to see the person die. I don't want to see people die in general, but in this movie in particular, the point of a slasher movie is that you actually want to see their deaths, and they don't have to be brutal, but they actually have to be deaths. And then it comes on screen and says so-and-so died at this time in both movies. So this is where I give this movie a little bit more, or a few more points. Also, the general reasoning behind why they're doing it is a lot more interesting, because as it turns out, their daughter was murdered by one of the teachers, and I did not... I did expect, because I read the wiki, and I always read the wiki, but I will admit, I did not expect it to be the person